As we said, ZenAku is certainly one of the stronger players that we have currently, sitting just underneath the absolute best of the best. So let's jump into our first map here, and it looks like, spectator-wise, it's going to be that Doom first. And ZenAku getting a start that decides, well, I'm not going to need to immediately pop that Berserk to be where I want to be, because I'm already there. Let's now pick up the important weapons to begin, and then we can start playing some Quake a little bit.
Yeah, hasn't got a rail though, so has to be a little bit trepidatious pushing out, because he knows that dramiS does indeed, but pretty standard start for Awoken. Going to be trading items, probably going to trade once again for the second round as they weed each other out. But actually, ZenAku going a little bit aggressive here. As I say that, dramiS using his orb to go up and does hit the second rail though. Could have been really, really bad for the American, but instead does get out with his life for now, but misses out on both major items. So that just shows you the mindset dramiS is at. Just wants to always play on the front foot.
It goes into those big plays that we talked about earlier. I was looking at that through dramiS's point of view. He did the opening rail, pushed forward with the orb. Unfortunately, that first rail missed its mark. But there just so happened to be enough stacks that had the rail connected. That probably actually would have resulted in a frag. So dramiS, the idea is there, just didn't quite get that execution. Now, the second time the orb comes in, decides to fake it out. ZenAku has no reason to really fear it, so he's going to happily push forward and secure that first frag. And maintaining item control, which, as we all know, unbelievably important. dramiS currently sitting on just an LG. ZenAku knows exactly where he is, I think, so he's happy to suffocate and keep those resources limited. As we push forward now, dramiS is having to play such a slow and careful game. Paying very close attention to where he is. Now ZenAku does actually go for a double jump across, and that is going to result in a rather nice little string of LG damage. We know Doom hates one thing. It's definitely going to be that LG. Now the emergency Berserk is going to get popped. I want to get the hell out of here and not deal with whatever dramiS is trying to do. But what comes off the back of that, I wonder? Mega is going to be the next item in play, of which dramiS is in position. So he's taking that, keeping the delay now in between these two major items, looks to push forward, but just does not have the right weapons to do the job. And that's going to mean ZenAku happy to take that, but favors a good position. I like that. It would be so easy to be tempted to jump in and take that heavy, but in this instance, let's try and set up a position first and get some good damage. dramiS pushes up. The question is, how much damage does he take in the meantime? As ZenAku did soak up a fair few of those resources. A lovely little opening rocket, though. That's going to give dramiS a little bit of breathing room, as now ZenAku has to get his resources back together. Oh, that's some fantastic LG from dramiS as well. Looking to get a bit of that cheeky little spawn damage. Perfectly scouts out that double jump. And just like that, dramiS sitting quite happily on this low ground, but it's giving him some absolutely fantastically cheeky rail shots. And the item control continues. Heavy now in position for dramiS. Where are we going to go next? ZenAku rather low on the old armor department, so he's going to have to be very, very careful. However, dramiS with a major push. The emergency Berserk comes out again, but stuck in melee. There's absolutely no way ZenAku's going to be able to challenge that item pickup. Can't even get some range damage because of the Berserk set time. So where we are now, dramiS sitting in that center point of the map. ZenAku has to stabilize. He has to try and do something. These opening shots can really, combined with the lack of resources, is hurting him a great deal. Take out on the double jump. Just a quick disclaimer, folks. My commentary partner, I believe, has had some internet trouble, so that's why you're stuck with me right now. But rest assured, as soon as we manage to get ZSX back in, he'll be joining us. And the delay between these two items has been really good for dramiS so far. I mean, you'll just notice he's barely moved around the map. He's happy to keep these important positions, because look, he's able to control that light armor. However, that return damage was not what he wanted. And he's always keeping it in mind. You know, I've just taken that armor, or at least been able to keep an eye on it. An aggressive push, but one that gets punished heavily by ZenAku. But what is the spawn going to be here? I like that dramiS actually purposefully delayed that respawn too. You might not have caught it on Spectator, but I think he's trying to get extra information. Where is ZenAku going to be right as I've spawned? There's one thing about Awoken. You spawn where there's only one weapon left to go and someone knows it. They're going to bully you for a significant amount of time. Now, without a rail in hand, dramiS can only use this machine gun. So I don't think ZenAku's going to fear it too much. And now, change of the tide. Opening damage is fantastic. dramiS is in big trouble. Get out of there, mate. Oh, wait a minute! A trade! And given those circumstances, a trade was as good as it was going to get. And hang on a minute, I heard something in my ear. Have I got my partner back? Oh, hang on a minute. Alright, we're halfway there. We're halfway there. I heard it, but the people at home didn't. Don't you worry. The 5-minute warning has come in. And there really has been a nice delay between these items pretty much the entire time. Where do we go from here? Such a margin, like, there's really no difference between the current score. Ooh, as I say that, made significantly better. Oh, dramiS with the drop down. Hang on a minute. Oh dear. Oh, that Berserk's not going to do nothing. That Berserk is not going to do nothing, and dramiS was more than ready for it. Back and forth rail. ZenAku happy to take that because he can just simply drop down towards heavy. It has been that insane battle of rails in the middle point of this map so far. Hello, hello.
I'm muted.
Okay, well, we'll just assume that we're back from the brink. Yeah, everyone's live. Welcome back. 4 minutes left to go, mate. It's 3-3. It's been a good match, actually. Oh, the fake out, you cheeky boy.
You can recap me after, but yeah, close scoreline. He's going to get the rail off the spawn as well. ZenAku has to pop the Berserk to get away. Might even get himself a Mega, but decides to get away. He actually comes in from below and he actually hits a double shotgun. dramiS must be frustrated by that. 4-4, 3.5 minutes to go.
There has been such a massive emphasis on the rail, all map long. And you can see why. You know, any amount of those rails that would have hit their mark would have totally changed how things were going to go here. But 3 minutes on the clock, there's a lot of potential stuff that can happen throughout the rest of this map. And that orb has been really kind of here and there. Sometimes it's been the key to dramiS securing a cheeky little last-minute frag, and sometimes it's gotten him killed. But it just goes into the big plays that we talked about earlier on. And ZenAku trying so hard to just put a lid on it.
Yeah, that was a really nice use of the orb though, realising that ZenAku doesn't have the LG yet. As long as he doesn't get double railed, which is highly unlikely, is a good use of the orb to steal away the Mega and keep him in a good position. He's actually in the right spot to pressure this heavy, and he will win it, having that great angle on the rail there. ZenAku forced to get away, popping the Berserk once again. dramiS is sticking around, trying to finish off his opponent with the rail. Not going to work because of that greedy play though. He has missed out on this Mega. He's a little bit late and going in aggressively there. It's going to work out somehow. Really shouldn't have, but hey ho, it could work this time.
It's the kind of orb play that purely on paper shouldn't work. I mean, ZenAku was looking directly at it. He knew that dramiS was going to teleport in there.
So, oh, huge rocket though through the grate there. dramiS smacking ZenAku in the teeth. Not long between these two major items, but he is a ranger. Could quite easily get himself across. ZenAku actually going to stick around with the rail this time, hitting 2 and picking up the Mega as well. Perfect state of affairs. Going in aggressively. dramiS trying to hold his ground, and he has resisted the pressure for now.
Absolutely beautiful defensive play there from dramiS. Went into an area where the defensive rockets were going to give him the absolute biggest reward, and reward it was. ZenAku unable to push forward after that. Was marginally close to going the complete opposite way. However, ZenAku able to take this heavy and actually immediately pops that Berserk. And I mean, you can see it's the extra little speed boost that the punch gives you that ZenAku just works into his Doomslayer game so efficiently. I think he was one of the first players I really saw experiment with that.
Nice.
Oh, dramiS caught on the return. He knows he's going to show his face. And some little bonus rail ammo, so he's not even going to have to go out of his way to replenish it.
No, there's such a long split between the major items now. All ZenAku really needs to do is play a bit of an ABC game. He's connecting nicely with the rail, catching dramiS off guard a number of times, and so long as he continues to do that, dramiS is really early here. He's actually going to go in, trying to steal away the line. Not sure he was aware, or at least aware how early ZenAku was going to be, and that's probably cost him the game. He's going to have to put out something spectacular here to stay in this one. Going in aggressive with the rocket, but yeah, ZenAku does the right thing, doesn't engage. Plays the plus back game, big rockets coming through. dramiS still going forward, but he's only got a rocket to work with, and now he won't even get an item either. Ooh, tough 20 seconds here for the American.
Pushing forward fresh off spawn the way he did, I think if he just didn't have He hadn't used that orb earlier on, which just didn't do anything for him. You know, the idea was there, but even if he managed to land it, I don't even think it would have secured him that frag. Having it just the next time he spawned, maybe that push would have been a little bit different. But either way, ZenAku able to stay a little bit more composed and just keep it rolling, taking that first map. But up until those final few minutes, it just could have gone either side. And that's the kind of match that I want to see from dramiS. I want to see even more of that, because it all came down to the confidence. There's always confidence in how dramiS puts forward his game plan. It's just that sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You know, if you don't hit every single one of those shots, if the orb doesn't go exactly where you want it to go, things will kind of slip through your fingers. But ZenAku did such a good job of just keeping up with that real tenacity, I suppose, of dramiS, just sticking to him like glue. And ZenAku, it goes into that composed style where he can keep up with that. So many good shots, man.
Yeah, I missed it. Firstly, apologies. You know, first time in how long we've been doing remote now, 2 and a bit years that this has happened, so it has to happen once. At least it was a short interlude. Well done for keeping up with it. But from what I saw and the assessment you made, it's pretty much bang on. ZenAku is just one of those players that has the capability to stay in games, no matter the pressure he's under. Really, really rarely do we ever see him get absolutely rolled, because he's so adept at adapting to his opponents effectively, plays around the items smartly, knows when to push, knows when to retreat, doesn't have the highest highs in terms of just pure skill, but it's just an all-round solid. Whereas dramiS, as you pointed out, you know, he has these moments of magic, but then there are just some moments where that confidence turns into over-aggression. I think the orb into ZenAku's choke point, even though it worked, it really shouldn't do. So that kind of situation is, it's just one where he needs to manage his expectations. And then on the other hand, it's just small chinks maybe in concentration, where ZenAku caught him from below with a double shotgun. Really, really simple frag for ZenAku to pick up that really shouldn't have happened. So if dramiS can begin to eliminate these chinks in his armor, that's when he becomes really scary. But nevertheless, 7-5, really close game. Moving on to Vale now. I'm actually liking what I saw from dramiS in terms of with the Sorlag here. We've seen him actually take maps away, but ZenAku with the kill has the stack and the presence to stay in it. So this is going to be an interesting one.
And it really comes down to those double heavies that makes me feel like we're going to see almost a complete repeat of Awoken, just a different map perhaps, because dramiS has already kind of put those cards on the table to show us that I'm going to be aggressive here. You know, that was the clear game plan of Ranger worked out wonders, because it wasn't about escaping, it wasn't about mobility, it was item play. It was, I'm going to push forward on these items, I'm going to force the control that way. And he played a really solid rail game in that center point of the map for almost the complete 5 minutes. So as we now jump into Vale, I'm curious to see if he's just going to continue to do that, right? Because we know Sorlag's got the speed, she's got the stack, she's got the mobility, which is really important for someone like dramiS. But at the same time, ZenAku is going to have a little bit more utility to just dish out that spam damage, right? Create those choke points, of which it's Vale, there's tons of those. And I think the grenades too, you know, you want to push in so hard. All these pineapples are on the floor and I'm on the item before you are. Who knows how things are going to go, but I can definitely expect that we're probably going to get a rather high frag map here. I just feel it in my bones.
Heavy versus heavy generally favors that, but your point about the kill is right. You know, ZenAku's going to want to play around the choke points more than the Sorlag. He's going to want to keep out of the hit scan zones, keep out of the rail jewels as much as he can, because that will favor dramiS anyway, let alone with this particular champion matchup. So ZenAku will want to try and manage the pace of the game more than dramiS.
Trying to get a little bit of that bonus damage, as you know your opponent's going to take an LG. If it's a battle of the heavies, you know that weapon's going to get used, and I mean, ask and you shall receive. That's exactly why. Players of this caliber with aim like this, an LG versus a heavy is almost never going to miss. They're just so big. So you can play those kind of game traps so much more efficiently. However, there goes the heavy. This is what we're talking about. Being able to spawn with that gigantic stack, being in a good position for the items. All you need is one good weapon and you can throw down. That's exactly what dramiS was able to do. And now, not fully out of control. More armor than ZenAku's currently working with. So one opening rail, one good rocket, and bam. You know, that fight can go either way.
Big split between the items. It's definitely very hard to have a full lockdown on Vale anyway, let alone heavy versus heavy. So might not matter too much, but nevertheless, it is something to be aware of. 10 seconds is large. He's actually knocked off it though, so has to take this fight. He goes get back up, but he's pinned up top. If he can get himself away, he'll actually steal himself this egg, but doesn't know the timing. Has to get away, and that's actually painful for dramiS now with no stack to work with. Here comes ZenAku to finally pick up. Oh no.
Why isn't he dead yet, Dan?
Oh, no.
How many times have we heard Sulai go, ah? I think 10.
That was. No!
There it is again. He's still alive. What's going on?
That
No!
is absurd.
What the hell was that sequence, Dan? I can't. And somehow dramiS survives. And actually now has a really good stack to work with. I cannot remember the last time I saw someone that close to death get hit so many times and somehow survived. Beautiful
nice.
rocket as well. ZenAku, this is one of those moments where you kind of just need to, you know, big breath, jump right back in, and this was a disastrous 2 minutes. However, there's still 8 minutes left to go.
Kind of wish my internet had cut out now. That play just killed me inside a little bit to see dramiS survive so long. So frustrating for ZenAku. But as you say, gotta keep it in. There he is, catching him a little bit off guard. She runs straight into the spit, but the shotgun's doing a lot of damage. The pineapples come out, nothing connecting. ZenAku is having a very hard time actually getting any frags. Doesn't really need to force it as much as he's trying to.
Oh, and the perfect rail just before the heavy is taken. And actually, you know, we're sitting there and we're kind of joking about what we saw about a minute ago, but we actually have got to give props to dramiS for just being able to play as slippery as he did. Being able to just play those mega tight angles to just make it as annoying as possible. He's done it even now, you know, since then. And a lovely trap has been sprung. ZenAku goes right into it. dramiS has had an absolutely phenomenal start here.
I mean, that play did wreak a little bit of frustration, so ZenAku needs to settle himself a little bit, and one can definitely empathise as if he was feeling frustrated at this point in time, but you know, these are some mistakes we would generally see from ZenAku. He's trying to now just do as much damage as he can to force a fight onto the next major item, but with quite a long time before the major item, dramiS has plenty of time to get his stack back up. And now the items are more or less on the same timing. He should be able to pick up one of the majors and be in a pretty good spot.
And now actually ZenAku does have a bit of a decision to make. With the 2 items being as close as they are, yeah, that was, do we just push forward? dramiS a little bit hesitant to really run in and grab that. Did a good amount of damage. Oh, especially with that rocket. I mean, he's got no LG up until now. He had no rail. So getting 100 damage of a rocket really was as good as it was going to get. And it was enough to force ZenAku to retreat. So not too shabby.
So you saw ZenAku's game plan in the end was just to do as much damage as he can before he died to force it, which is now worked. So the question is, can he now keep control of the items? And the answer is no.
dramiS is going to have to spend a little bit of time just getting those light pickups, and unfortunately not able to survive that encounter. dramiS is going to know full well ZenAku not only got the frag, but the heavy armor there, so he's going to have to be very careful now as he's off spawn. Thankfully does have at least a rail that he's able to appear, so a little bit of that hit and run damage is all he can ask for given the circumstances. He has a weapon now, but at what cost? Holy Trinity is good to go, but ZenAku's the one in position, and ZenAku's the one on the items. 10 seconds until the heavy, and that's plenty of time for ZenAku to get something good here. Oh, dearie me. Good that was, Dan.
Yeah, now it's about ABC. Can he not take too much damage and actually pick up and maintain control of at least one of the items? See, dramiS is trying to do what ZenAku was doing and just do as much damage as he can. He knows the Mega's up next and want to be rushing it. He comes flying on through, has the rail this time. He just wants to keep pressure. And this is where heavies really turn into a bit of a brawl. Just in time for ZenAku and the clean return. But with 5 seconds to go, you bet that dramiS is going to try and get his face into this room. She decides against it just a little bit late.
And you can tell why the rail has been such a instrumental part of these fights. I mean, it's 2 champions that can fire a rail and then just release their ability. So the downtime in between shots.
Nice.
Oh, that was a really nice one, and enough to bring ZenAku back into this fight and then some. And I do fear that maybe dramiS was just trying to strong-arm his way in a little bit too much. I mean, we know that it can work because you spawn with a big stack, you're able to get some damage, but the defensive plays from the person that really is in control. It's been so good either side, and dramiS again falls short, and now he's got to be really careful. If this snowballs now, he's running out of time.
Yeah, and ZenAku's got a good lock on the items. dramiS actually, defensively, doesn't seem to be on top of the rotation. He's been late to some pickups. He's not in the right position for when the next round of spawns is going to come. So that would be my suggestion. Just get back on top of his timings. This time he is there. He does get the pickup. Look how much damage he's taken. He's even going to give up a frag just to pick up that heavy. ZenAku has plenty of time to go back and pick up these lights. Even potentially keep the pressure onto dramiS.
And the aggressive push works through once more. But we know
doesn't
what
mind.
the item timings are.
Yeah, he
knows
doesn't
the
mind
item
dying.
timings, yeah.
He got his rail off, he made sure dramiS was low, which means he spawns fully stacked and goes and gets his item again. It was a great use of his life.
Just one of many resources, isn't it? However, now the push, thankfully, dramiS was at least able to steal that.
Yeah, that's not going to be
bad.
huge, but it's big enough. It means he should be able to get pressure this Mega now. ZenAku's actually slowed it down, realizing he has missed out on that item. You can see he just needs to hit a rail before he's able to push in. He does, he hits two in fact, and the pineapples as well. Another clean frag, he's low, so he won't even get across, but can he force his spawn in the right area? The answer is no. This time dramiS gets it first.
Unfortunately, it's going to be a trade of items. dramiS, I think, would have been very, very happy with taking both of them, but because of the spawns and everything else, just was not meant to be. So dramiS still has to push forward now, but how long can ZenAku survive with this absolutely tiny stack? The shotgun! The positioning was on point, and that one frag alone is going to be quite frustrating for dramiS now, because we have the items about to spawn. If ZenAku is able to get these... Oh, never mind! Hello! Taken by surprise.
The difference for me in the playstyle, the subtle difference is that ZenAku's been just better at positioning, hitting earlier damage. Wow!
That was absolutely fantastic,
That
Dan.
was insane. But yeah, my point was that ZenAku's been playing the angles better. You can see these rails he's hitting, whereas dramiS is favouring more of an aggressive all-in playstyle. He wants to use the speed, he wants to use the stack, he wants to get in ZenAku's face, but that's when it gets really, really messy. ZenAku's doing a great job whistling down dramiS, and that's why a lot of his frags are getting cleaner, which means he's being able to follow that up with more pressure and build a lead. Whereas dramiS is very much back and forth in his playstyle. He ends up being very low up the frag because ZenAku gets to keep that frag.
And it has on that absolutely delicious little rocket jump to mess up the rail, and he does the exact same thing again. This by all means will secure him the heavy, and at this point, even if he dies, which he might not because his positioning has just been so phenomenal, that dramiS' likelihood of a comeback just becomes so small. 1 minute left to go, you gotta get 4 frags, gonna spawn with a big stack. I do not see it happening. Well done to ZenAku. Those first 2 minutes, Dan, were an absolute disaster. However, turnaround was even better.
Yeah, there was definitely some frustration, and rightly so, but then you could see him realize, well, you know, my opponent's low. If I just keep the pressure on him and I give one or two frags more, he was confident in his capability to maintain control, and it was just really clean from there on out. As I said, he was playing the angles better. The use of the rail was phenomenal. Constantly keeping the pressure onto dramiS, which dramiS just wanting to play fast, aggressive, kind of mid-range game. ZenAku just wasn't having any of that.
Now, we mentioned before during the picks and bans, you said it yourself, Kiel, a champion that we don't see on this map as often as we used to, but it was a nice little reminder how in the hands of someone like ZenAku, who just loves these big bodies, just how much Kiel can do on this map to begin with. How many of those pineapples essentially are what stopped dramiS from being able to just spawn, go in and secure another frag. So many of them hit their mark perfectly, and that's a lot of damage every time on top of the rail, on top of the rocket, the shotgun, whatever it is that you want to use. ZenAku just made it so you want to push forward after I've just, won this fight, then think again. I've got more weaponry than you, and so much of it was dependent on him hitting those grenades. So fantastic stuff there from ZenAku, who is looking real good today. 1 map left to go, but that was a perfect example. I think both maps, actually, ZSA. Both of these maps have been an example over ZenAku's style of play to adapt and overcome, whereas dramiS, highly, highly aggressive, but it reaches a point where if that no longer works, ZenAku just seems to be playing a little bit of a better game of Quake, right?
Basically, yeah. You can't really fault dramiS for his execution mechanically. He's up there with the best. It's just the strategy to go with it. And you know, he needs this. I was going to say he needs a second gear, but he needs a first, second, third, and fourth gear. He just needs to get out of fifth gear a lot of the time because it is full frontal attack with dramiS. And when it works, it looks spectacular. But when it doesn't work, you can see him getting controlled. And as you said, you can see ZenAku adapting to what dramiS wants to do, and it felt very controlled. Obviously, he slipped up at the start, and there was some unfortunate errors there. But when he had the map, it didn't feel that he was hugely pressured. There was obviously some moments of tenseness there, some amazing execution from ZenAku as well, but you could see the game plan come into fruition, and dramiS needs to change it up a little bit more.
I think you could describe it with nothing I can't handle. That really is what I think of. The amount of times on that map that dramiS had done some decent damage and then decides to just push really, really hard. Kind of right when ZenAku started to equalize because there was a lot of frags to work with. When you have a lot of breathing space, I think that often will encourage someone to try that heavy refrag gameplay because it's, hey, I mean, I can give up a few frags here and there. And then very quickly it became 6-6 because ZenAku was just able to say, you're going to push forward, that's totally fine. I know you're going to do it and I'm confident in both my positioning and my aim. So let's just handle this real quick, take the lead, and then start doing what I want to do best. Now, Blood Covenant, this is where things do get a little bit different. So dramiS being able to get at least one map win here, naturally it's going to be better than nothing. But I'm just thinking that we had some similar champions, right, across those first two maps. There was medium versus medium, then it was heavy versus heavy. They were able to approach a lot of situations in a similar fashion. It just came down to strategy, and that's what led ZenAku to taking both of those wins. Now on this map, it's going to be light and fast versus medium with really no mobility options besides like nail jumps and rocket jumps. So I'm almost wondering if just this natural difference with the champion archetypes is going to cause dramiS to just naturally play slower because his champion's not built to do what he would normally want to do.
He's gone out of his way to pick this. There was other champions. He could have picked the Anarchy. He could have picked the Nyx even. That was still in the pool. But he's decided for the Galena. So one would think he has a particular plan to utilize this champion. He's a very, very good champion on this particular map. But as you say, it does force you into a different mindset, a different strategy, because you don't have the same capabilities anymore. And often we credit dramiS to being able to execute those particular fast champions at a high level. But now he's in a different zone, as you say, and he's forced to change it up. And I think that could be a good thing. So
as we start looking at things through ZenAku's point of view, I'll be checking dramiS just to kind of see what his start is going to be. And already, ooh, one of those cheeky little totems through the jump pad. So I'm actually very curious to see how that's going to work out. However, opening things off strong here, and dramiS just listening out for where ZenAku's going to be. One thing we know about Anarchy, bit of a noisy lad, isn't he?
He is, but he's also fast and has a very powerful inject to go with it. Love the opening rail as well. He sees the timing here. It's just either one connecting. dramiS hitting 2. Sorry, ZenAku hitting 2 to dramiS' 0 and a third. This is not a good look for dramiS. 0 from 7, there's the first, but how long is he going to last? Not a long time, and the engine isn't even popped. Once he does spawn over by that Mega, that's a painful start, and he doesn't even get it.
And the kind of start that is no doubt going to frustrate, and hopefully he can keep himself together. And unfortunately, dramiS, you wouldn't have seen that, but he missed the rocket jump towards rail, so I do worry that dramiS is a little bit bothered before this map has even begun, and ZenAku has the perfect recipe, I think, to keep this pressure on and to be very, very overwhelming.
That rocket was big. It has stalled the aggression from ZenAku. He's had to forfeit that Mega, but knowing that dramiS doesn't have a rail, he has that as an option here to try and defend that space. Actually just forfeits both major items here, respecting dramiS. Hasn't given up the rail yet, but has just vacated the vicinity.
But we're just looking at how ZenAku's approaching it so far. I've got all the weapons. I just play the game of, oh, angles, I was going to say, before he ate that one in the backside. And really can't hang around too long. The injection is going to get popped, and dramiS no doubt heard where he's going to be in the catacombs, but currently dramiS able to keep a little bit more of these items maybe. The opening rail's good. dramiS jumps down and just stops the bleeding immediately with more armor. ZenAku, a very reserved and careful gameplay so far. removing the totems. Loving that choice. Always prioritizing that. Gotta do it.
Yeah, ZenAku, and it's not massively unfamiliar with Anarchies in general. Just quite happy to play off his basic stack, play off the lights, and use the inject as the extra health and armor when he needs it. But if dramiS begins connecting more rails, that's when that strategy does become quite risky. Would like to see ZenAku putting a bit more pressure, even defensively, onto these major items. At the moment, he's quite confident just to play around the air control, the speed of the Anarchy, and maintain positioning over dramiS.
There's that immediate inject. He's going to just stabilize that one rail that he took, and actually dramiS, God, does he even use the jump pad? No! The forbidden fruit, Dan! The forbidden fruit! ZenAku left it to say, go on, mate, take it. I know you want it.
1 second he couldn't go up, and he gets smacked in the face. He does get a frag there. They go into a bit of a shotgun brawl, but that is painful. Brings it back for 2-1. They have to reset. I'm
trying to think of a 1v1 with the same weapon even more uncomfortable than the super shotgun. I don't think I can really think of it. That's the amount of times that the shotgun is. How much is it going to do? Who knows?
It's not quite RNG, but it definitely feels it when you watch it live.
It feels like it is when you lose it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
However, ZenAku importantly able to keep the items in play in that rail! dramiS, yeah, he was able to hit his mark, but I was a bit worried for him. Stuck in sort of no man's land, waiting for the rail to recharge itself. That would have been a fantastic shot for dramiS to land, but just not quite able to do it. ZenAku, a fair old while away from that inject. There's no doubt he's being so careful around these corners, even there looking for the rail shot, but prioritizing avoiding it rather than doing the damage himself. He knows he's in position for heavy. And wow! dramiS forced down. That is time to go.
Well, now he's got some armor under his belt as well. Would like to see him maintain a bit more control over this. Don't think dramiS has done anything particularly massive to pressure him off of the map. It's more than ZenAku willingly forfeiting. Nice play by dramiS there. Does get caught himself, but does a lot of damage to ZenAku. ZenAku with timing this Mega as well will be able to steal it away, so that's a lovely coup for him as well. Nearly connected with a perfect rocket, but instead goes charging on in. dramiS comes on through, but does next to nothing as he runs out of ammo.
Yeah, it looked a little bit like maybe he wanted to swap to a different weapon as well. If he knows he's going to potentially go down, maybe I'll try and get something else out, who knows. But 3-1, that 5-minute warning is here, and ZenAku looking more than comfortable, and he knows as well! Drops right before, I was about to say, knows he's just spawned. Wow.
That was unexpected, but that's definitely going to happen as an Anarchy just gets melted. dramiS on the advance once again. Barely seen him use the rail, actually. More just been circling the items and closing the gap.
He hasn't even had lots of opportunities to pick it up, I've noticed, especially now. Even having to use the machine gun so much as his sniper weapon of choice, because he just has had such little access to rail in general.
One of the challenges is Galena, you just don't have the mobility to get easily across the map.
Indeed. Oh, he knows he wants the Mega.
Not again.
Oh, this time it is just a rail. So it could have been worse. Not going to be that swaggy little two-piece, but at the very least, dramiS a decent amount of stack, and he is just about to get himself a totem. And actually, ZenAku, without the inject, is going to allow dramiS to be way more healthy in this situation. The defensive rocket was real good, and dramiS knows I can't push that. He's already used the jump pad. He's going to get away. I need to think of my next move. Okay. Fantastic rail, but this is a scary game to play. I think he actually might think that maybe ZenAku's still around.
He's just bullying his way onto items, but unfortunately has to give up the heavy now, so does trade. Hasn't been anywhere near overstacked either, so you know, ZenAku's done a good job in that department.
Death is the only release. I will not.
Starting to see, at the very least, dramiS having opportunities to pick up some of these light armors. They happen a little bit more in the favor of ZenAku, because as he has been taking this kind of poke damage, you know, at range, just kind of zipping around, soaking up the lights, and getting himself back to healthy. As long as he's got an inject, he knows he can always take this fight. Self-sustain, very similar to a Galena. Now both items. Mega on the side of ZenAku. dramiS wanted to get a little bit of potential bonus damage first. A couple of rockets, unfortunately eats a rail. And this is where things are going to get a little bit scary though, Dan, because that distinct difference in mobility Especially now there's 2 frags ahead rather than 1. This is where ZenAku is going to be very, very annoying to even catch.
Well, that's exactly it. You can see even from that frag, watching from dramiS's POV, how challenging it is to play against ZenAku on this map as a Galena. You know, one of the reasons why ZenAku hasn't actively gone out of his way to keep control of the items is because of this. He can use the speed, get in his high ground earlier, just keep chipping away dramiS from a distance, and then chase him down. And it's been working to a charm. Yes, the scoreline is still pretty close, but at the same time, he's not put himself in harm's way. dramiS trying to set up a trap there, but ZenAku was more than aware he was in the area. He spawns here. ZenAku knows when the neighbour's up, so he can just bide his time to get a clean frag, and this is when the map spirals out of control. It was really well played by ZenAku.
Absolutely fantastic. You could almost see the strategy unfold before the map even begun, just because of the champion matchup at hand. ZenAku was up 1 frag and wasn't overextending, wasn't looking to be super fast and aggressive, using that mobility to just create positions rather than anything else. Such an important strength to have on Blood Covenant. If you beat the opponent to the punch, you have that rail angle first, you have that trap set first. I mean, you're going to get that first burst of damage. It's classic, classic ambush heavy play. But
I think that we have to go back. We're talking about how, you know, one-sided this seems. I don't really see what the game plan was from dramiS. He's played slow, he's had the items, but there's been nothing from a Galena point of view that has shown me why he's picked. Obviously Galena's a solid champion nonetheless, but just question if he had a Nyx or something with more utility, could he have done more? Because it just felt like he got a little bit manhandled strategically.
very much so. Even in the first few minutes, it seemed like dramiS was taking a bunch of items in the first couple of minutes, and it's because ZenAku was just kind of allowing it to happen. Like, even if the whole idea is I'm going to have a bit more stack, maybe, the classic Galena style of just a bit of totem sustain, perhaps. But I mean, you're going up against ZenAku, who's got inject, so it's kind of very similar strength in the middle of the fights. ZenAku didn't really seem to care about it all that much. And yeah, it's now a 2, but those final frags are very much just that kind of classic. The map is closing, you're running out of time, you've got to try and do something, time's running out, you get more predictable. But it was close up until that point. But although it was close, there was no point where ZenAku wasn't the one that was sort of just dictating the pace of it.
No, and considering how slow dramiS was playing and the way in which, you know, the way in which ZenAku was playing, what I would have expected from dramiS is gone out of his way to build an overstack. You know that ZenAku doesn't want to fight. You know he's just going to try and pick you off and play super, super annoying. So why don't you go out your way, build the overstack, get the rail. We didn't see him put enough emphasis on the rail, and that was partly credit to ZenAku, but really play around the strength of your champion and work around what ZenAku was doing. It felt that dramiS became quite predictable. He was going from item to item to item, and ZenAku was able to circle that. He was able to circle that, and he was able to use the speed to get better position, get better angles, and just do more damage. And it didn't feel that dramiS had much of an answer for large parts of that game.
And even some of the frags that dramiS was able to land, like the one that we just saw in the replay where it was a bit of a rather inconsistent shotgun 1v1, I mean, even that frag could have easily have gone the other way, whereas kind of classic to... Ooh! I saw that one from ZenAku's point of view there. I was watching dramiS's on my feed, so that was a little bit snappier looking at it from ZenAku's side. But overall, a very comfortable win for him. A good chance for ZenAku to just maintain his position on the leaderboard because he's been doing just as well as he needs to. And it's kind of what we talked about at the start of the show where, yeah, he's got the absolute best of the best above him, but he's right on that edge of being able to join them. And with these kind of results and this kind of showing, you know, this is how you do it. This is how you keep up that consistency. Unfortunate for dramiS, but hopefully he can keep himself in shape for the finals, because as we said, the finals is where it really counts.
Yeah, and on his day, dramiS is someone that can literally take maps and series off of anyone in the Quake Pro League. He just needs to find more consistency in his game and find, I guess, more strategical diversity, I think, as well, is another way to put it. Just needs to have more strings on his bow. And if he can do that, then he becomes extremely scary because he can really take maps off anyone. So that could push him to a new level. ZenAku, as we've said, is in solid in 6th. Can he take himself up to the top 5, maybe top 3? Definitely. Definitely needs to still keep improving and pushing on, but he can do it.
The practice will simply continue, and that's all we can say about that one. But believe it or not, our first series of the day is already done. We've only got a few left. We're going to go for a quick break, and when we return, Quake Pro League will return along with it. See you in a bit.